With over 20 years of combined recruitment experience, Bastion is your trusted advisor for sourcing leaders. Technical experts in supply chain recruitment, Bastion uses a proven customer-focused delivery. Speak to a consultant today for your recruitment needs. Bastion, experts in sourcing leaders that deliver change.
Hi everyone, you're watching Trade Australia, another episode here. I'm your host, Lawrence Christoffelsz. Trade Australia is proudly brought to you by the Australian Trade and Logistics Corporation. Today we've got some fantastic guests, and to kick it all off, we've got Associate Professor Nico Adams, who's the Director of Factories of the Future at Swinburne University here in Victoria. Thanks for joining me, Nico.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Lawrence. Good to be here.
My pleasure. Nico, for the viewers at home or at the office, wherever they may be at the moment, can you tell us about your background and your role with Swinburne University? Because there's some really exciting stuff I'd love to share with them.
So at Swinburne, I look after a little laboratory or facility called the Factory of the Future. And the Factory of the Future really is a business-led engineering facility, and we work predominantly with manufacturing SMEs, but also other kinds of process-related industries to help them move away from competing on cost and price and quality towards competing on value add and ultimately business model innovation through the use of digital technologies, digitalization, and Industry 4.0.
Right.
In a nutshell, that's us.
Yeah, I think that's where I initially met you a few years back, Nico. Was the real opportunity when I saw you talk about Industry 4.0 at I think it could have been a defence sector event or something like that. But some really great, cool stuff. And then subsequent to that, I saw the Factories of the Future in person myself, and was so impressed with the level of hands-on stuff that you're doing there, and you're engaging with industry in a really embedded way, where you're doing stuff with, I think it was Yarra Trams at the time, or Bombardier, about all those really cool stuff. And it's just exciting to be part of and to look at that. So congratulations on that. And I wanted to ask, now that obviously this COVID situation has knocked Australia around, but globally as well, and companies now have rethought their manufacturing, and what you've just mentioned about bringing back that value add, not just trying to compete on cost, because you can't compete on cost and just efficiency. You need to bring something more to the table as a manufacturer. And I think as global supply chains are being so heavily disrupted, Australian companies have looked back towards, well, maybe we need to rethink the way we can manufacture and what we can do there. So have you sort of experienced a bit of an influx with Factories of the Future recently?
It's quite interesting. So we interact with a fair number of businesses. I think last year alone we've interacted in one way or another with over 200 manufacturing businesses. And during the COVID crisis, and this is anecdotal, but these businesses sort of seem to be dividing into two camps. There were businesses which were really just scrambling to protect their value drivers and to make sure businesses taking over and they get through this. There were, however, other businesses who said, well, no, right now is the time to actually start thinking about what the future looks like. And again, how we can take advantage of these changes in value capture and value creation that, in particular, digital technologies bring about, to make our business viable for the long term, to de-risk it, and also to make it resilient. So clearly, there's been a lot of conversation about supply chain resiliency, and it was interesting to see that a lot of the conversation seems to have moved away from manufacture or from managing supply chains in small discrete buckets, which seems to until now quite often be the case. And there's an increasing amount of talk about collaborative management of supply chains across supply chains and between businesses. And
yeah. Well, that's so interesting, especially with my supply chain background and passion. That's why I was so thrilled to see what you're doing there with Factories of the Future, even when I first saw it a few years ago. But I wanted to ask you, that's a great leading to my next question, Nico, is that I know Swinburne doing some amazing stuff here in the Australian landscape, and here, especially here in Victoria, but I understand you're doing some collaborations as well. What sort of you know, you talk about the broader supply chain. Do you, with Factories of the Future, collaborate with overseas industry bodies or similar type of entities where you can, you know, do some projects or learn from each other?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have operationalized, and maybe I should take a step back and explain a little bit more about what we do in the Factory of the Future. So we try and work with industry, not in a typical university industry collaboration scenario whereby we produce, to be slightly flippant, shiny new graduates and shiny new pieces of IP and then dangle them in front of businesses and say go buy, but rather and this is why I said we're a business-led engineering facility, we try and take a step back and through literally consulting activities, co-create digital strategy with businesses, which we can then subsequently translate into reskilling and upskilling of business where that strategy calls for that. And so we deliver training programs into businesses, and these training programs we've recently been asked to internationalize as well. So we're now providing training around the Industry 4.0 technology stack into Singapore, for example, in partnership with Festo and the CDTI in Singapore. And some of the technical work, particularly around the Industry 4.0 test lab that we've built at the Factory of the Future, it's a reconfigurable manufacturing facility, has been featured by the Labs Network Industry 4.0 in Germany as well.
Wow.
Of course, Swinburne is part of the Industry 4.0 Test Labs network that exists in Australia, and that Industry 4.0 Test Labs network is part of a larger collaboration between the Industry 4.0 Forum, formerly known as the Prime Minister's Task Force, and Platform Industry 4.0 in Germany. And the agreement between the forum and the platform is to exchange best practice in terms of SME engagement, SME collaboration, to co-develop standards and develop standards internationally, and to also make available access to each other's test labs. And those are processes which are ongoing. So yeah, absolutely, we collaborate internationally.
It's amazing stuff, and you know, global supply chains are just that, they're global, and this is where that data transfer, the digital trigger points around, and how those, you know, the machinery and those equipment start to talk to each other. It's advancing so rapidly. I don't think, you know, people can really get their head around it from a, you know, a non-expertise point of view like myself. I mean, obviously you live that sort of technology and you see what's around the corner, but from someone who's, you know, looking at paper-based supply chain milestones right through to now, you know, machines preempting what the next supply chain milestone could be and preparing for that through these IoT devices. It's mind-boggling about the sort of advancements that are happening so quickly. And I wanted to ask you, Nico, where do you see this heading, and how does Australia compare with some of the rest of the world when it comes to Industry 4.0 knowledge and maybe even take-up when it comes to their own sort of industry sectors?
Let's put it this way: it's a journey. It's a journey for all of us. Yeah. Australian manufacturing businesses, on the whole, tend to be on the smaller side. So 90% of all Australian manufacturers have 30 employees and less. Yeah. And what that's saying is that these businesses tend to be very lean. So everybody who's in the business literally works in the business and not necessarily on the business. True. And so there are, while a lot of businesses are aware of Industry 4.0, the problem with Industry 4.0 is that quite often what Industry 4.0 is and what it does for business is articulated in a technocentric way. So people think of Industry 4.0 as, you know, IoT, advanced manufacturing, cloud computing, cybersecurity, autonomous systems and robots and so on. And that's all nice and well, but the technocentric view doesn't articulate what it does for business, namely that it triggers really profound shifts in the way in which a business can create and capture value. And that's what a lot of businesses, in particular smaller businesses, don't quite understand yet, and so they remain skeptical of Industry 4.0. The other side to this is because they're smaller business, typically there's a lot of manual work still, and a lot of manufacturing companies. There's a lot of paperwork still happening, and we, as we work with businesses to bring them up the Industry 4.0 maturity curve, we're finding that we quite often have to take a step back and say, hey, forget about Industry 4.0 for a minute. Let's just think about some business fundamentals, such as, for example, well-described processes and well-described KPIs over these processes. Because if you're trying to digitalize as a colleague, David Shooter from the IMCSE likes to say, if you digitalize a broken process, you end up with a digital broken process. And so, and so all you're doing is you're adding cost to business rather than benefiting. And so we spend a lot of time working with businesses to improve their processes, free up money by doing that quite often, and then allow them to reinvest that money into reaching greater heights, if you will, in the Industry 4.0 maturity. How we're comparing against other countries, not any better, not any worse. The struggle is really everywhere, even in Germany, supposedly the mother of Industry 4.0, and in some areas we're certainly a little bit ahead. So I was recently prior to COVID, about a year ago, on a study tour of the US to take a look at digital shipbuilding and digital manufacturing there. And, the big OEMs in the US talking about, being concerned about their supply chains. They may talk to their tier 1 supplier, but then everything else below that they don't worry about. And here in Australia, we have a much more integrated approach. And so I think that.
No, I think, look, it's good to hear that we're not falling behind, and as you say, we're pretty much on par with the rest of the world, because I think all countries now, through that whole COVID disruption, are wanting to make sure that they can really reinvent themselves, or at least improve their opportunities for manufacturing and compete on a domestic and global scale. And I think leveraging, I should say, technology and digital disruption, but also that value they can provide from a B2B, but also B2C perspective as well. So trying to use the value that your factories of the future can potentially use or offer to bring on board new buyers, new consumers to your products as well. So I think it's amazing stuff. And I really appreciate Nico taking the time to chat with me virtually, and hopefully one day, not too far away, I'd love to be able to do a collaboration event with you at Factories of the Future in Hawthorne there, so we can try and get some people to see the amazing work that you're doing over there with your team. So thanks so much for joining me on the show. And what's the best way for companies who are watching this, whether they're here in Australia or even overseas, who want to reach out to you? What's the best way? We can have your email on the link here, but is there a specific website they should check out for Factories of the Future?
The simplest way would literally be to Google Factory of the Future and Swinburne, and you'll find us, and there'll be contact information there as well.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Nico. Really appreciate taking the time, and look forward to chatting again very, very soon.
For the opportunity, Lawrence.
Great. You're welcome. So there you've heard from Associate Professor Nico Adams, who's the Director of Factories of the Future at Swinburne University here in Victoria. They're doing some amazing work, and they're going to be so important as Victoria and Australia re-emerge and rebuild the economy going forward. So reach out to Nico and his team, and I'm sure there's some great programs and initiatives that they'll be rolling out over the coming months and years as well. So stay tuned. After the break, we'll be joined again by another fantastic guest, so we'll see you very soon.
With over 20 years of combined recruitment experience, Bastion is your trusted advisor for sourcing leaders. Technical experts in supply chain recruitment, Bastion uses a proven customer-focused delivery. Speak to a consultant today for your recruitment needs. Bastion, experts in sourcing leaders that deliver change.
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching the Trade Australia Show. I'm your host, Lawrence Christoffelsz. We're now joined by Kim Wu from VCCI, Victorian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Hi, Kim. Great to speak to you again. Good to see you healthy and well, mate. How are you?
Oh, good. Yeah, nice to meet you again, Lawrence. Always
Great.
a pleasure.
Likewise. It's always great to chat, Kim. Kim, I know that VCCI have been a really vocal advocate of everything that Victorian businesses are going through right now with the lockdown and the second wave here in Victoria. For the viewers at home, well, not at home, but at work or at home, could be working from home these days, explain about the overall services of VCCI. I know that such a broad spectrum of support that companies are probably maybe unaware about how broad those support services are.
Oh yes, yes. Well, the chamber has been established about 160 over years ago, and all this while we really have been focusing on helping businesses. And one big area is the HR and workplace relations. So we do a lot of the workplace advice line support, fair work representation, enterprise bargaining, modern award directory, and tools and templates for use of this the businesses, and HR consulting.
Yeah.
Then we also have on the health and safety well-being side, we do health and safety compliance, mental health support, workplace manslaughter resource, that very so-called scary legislation passed on 1st July, right? Yeah. And of course we have the our HSW consultants helping services.
Yeah.
Then of course coming to the policy and advocacy, like what you said, you have seen our CEO Paul Guerra out there, trying to get the businesses to restart, and of course we have the task force that helps different industries supporting him, and of course the publication submissions that we put to the government, and also we have quite a few grants experts that will help to advise the businesses.
Yeah. So
then on training, we are actually a registered training organization. We run 800 courses, and also we conduct on-site training to facilitate. And also the other thing, we run large-scale networking.
Yeah.
We do a lot of events that help to connect businesses. Now, then we come to the main point. What this that would be very relevant to ATLC's members.
Yeah.
That would be the international services.
Yeah.
Now we do we issue carnets and of course certificate of origin, and we are definitely the preferred issuer for a lot of FTA countries. Yeah. And the other thing is that we run consulting services, and this might be very, very useful and relevant at this time. For example, we have a colleague that's based in China.
Yeah.
So actually, so for those members of yours that do a lot of exports or even sourcing for imports,
yeah.
Our colleague can actually do due diligence for you, inspection,
yeah.
and even like these dispute resolution.
Great.
For your members. And obviously, in terms of cultural barriers, international trade laws, consultancy, we will be very strong in that.
Yeah.
Identify key markets for you guys and all. So yeah, that's really something that's wonderful. And as far as the expansion into China, previously we called this program Victoria Jiangsu Business Program. So every May, except this year,
of course,
we bring members to China, so to so-called business match them, and hopefully that in 2021 we can restart this.
Sure.
And of course, something that's very, very interesting is you know this Canton Fair very well.
Yeah, of course.
That's going to start in from 15th to the 24th of October.
Yeah.
So this year, because of this coronavirus, they are going to do it virtual.
Wow. That's
yes.
Really.
And so, in fact, on the 13th, that's Tuesday, 13th October, I'll invite you guys to come on to our free information session.
Great, thank you. Yeah.
A colleague of mine will be taking everyone through and give you tips on how to go on to this virtual exhibition.
Fantastic.
And some key points of how do you explore this virtual exhibition.
Yeah, well, that sounds really exciting. I'm guessing that's Eddie who's going to showcase that, and
Yes.
we've got. I know Eddie does a great job with that every year, and this is obviously a whole new way of doing it. But it's a great opportunity, as you say, for Victorian companies to really still engage with sourcing and understand how that fair works, and do it in a safe virtual environment. So congratulations on putting that together.
Yeah, sure. Eddie will be pleased to see you.
And Kim, I want to take a step back before we talk about some other special deals that you got with ATLC. But the HR piece is so important now because companies are really struggling to navigate how they really look after their workers in the right, fair, legal way. From a health and safety perspective, when people are working remotely from home, what sort of due diligence do they need to do? What checklists? How do they make sure that their staff are safe and their liabilities are reduced from working from remotely from home? There's the opportunity for them to really check in with you as the chamber because you are such a broad resource. Membership provides huge value because especially SMEs, you've got enough to worry about trying to manage your core business functions that you can't have a team of experts around HR and health and safety. You need to rely on the support mechanisms that the VCCI offer, and that's why I've been really so supportive of what Paul and the team have been doing around being that advocate, being the champion for small business here in Victoria. It's such a challenging time that most of us have never experienced before, and it really showcases and highlights the great work that BCCI are doing. So congratulations to you and the broader team. I think it really does demonstrate in such times of crisis especially, but even just trying to have a lean, mean business where you can be as effective as possible and to stay up to date with experts, you can really get massive bang for your buck by working with you as a chamber. So even before we go into the international services, like you talked about, the carnets, the certs of origin, the FTA advice, the consulting programs, all those type of services mean that you can restart the business as quickly as possible, re-engage and redesign some of the new models that we all need to try and navigate as part of a new COVID normal, as they call it. And the resources that you're providing through VCCI are phenomenal. And I think that it's a great opportunity now to talk about the membership cost and the benefits of membership, and then maybe talk about that special offer that you've been so kind to generously offer to ATLC members as well, Kim.
Oh, sure. We have several classes of membership, but the most popular one that's most relevant to you guys will be what we call complete membership.
Yeah.
So that obviously is like it gives you 30% off for your export documentation issuance, and obviously you guys can make unlimited calls to our workplace relations advice line. So that would normally cost 1,200 plus GST a year, but we're put in a very preferential pricing for you, Lawrence. You have been very supportive of us.
Great.
And obviously, for this year, your members can come in at half price.
Wow.
So that's only 600 plus GST.
That's fantastic value. So thank you so much, Kim, because I know that you've been a champion internally to make that happen for our members, because so I really appreciate your hard work personally, and for the Chamber for supporting our members, especially as they navigate how they trade and how they do business. So 50% off on this membership is just amazing value. So I really sincerely appreciate all the work you've been doing with that.
Yeah. Oh, well, I look forward to be able to service your members. Talking about that, I'm your member.
And vice versa. So thanks, Kim. Yeah, I'm totally. We are really proud of all the stuff the VCCI are doing, and I can definitely advocate to all of you out there as ATLC members. if you're not members already, you need to jump on board because you can take up this offer. And, even once we're out of the normal, you still can't get better value for money than working with VCCI to stay up to date with all the changes. And look, if we're really being honest, these changes are going to be more and more rampant over the coming months and years, because as government tries to increase stimulus for the economy, workplace relations, all these type of things are going to continually change and evolve. And all of us in small business, we struggle to stay abreast of that. So we really rely on VCCI and their expertise and their group of experts to help us get the most out of our business. So, I can't emphasize how valuable this is, and we really want all of you out there as viewers to work with VCCI. We can support you with ATLC as well, but combined, we can really make sure your business gets the most out of local business, international business, and make sure you've got every chance of success. So, Kim, I know that you've got a whole range of events that would normally take place with VCCI. You've got the Business After Dark, you've got great networking events. What about virtual events for the last quarter of this year for 2020? Are there anything on the radar, webinars or other stuff? I know you've got the trade fair, the Canton Fair coming up with Eddie, but are there any other networking or other training events coming through that you've got with VCCI?
Yes, we have a lot of updates on the COVID thing, and also on the 14th, I think we're going to have our networking event, virtual catch up. And I suppose we do post a lot of these schedules on our website. Yep. So get yourself registered, so that we can put you on our subscription. Fantastic. So you never miss out. And obviously, we already got the flyer specifically for ETLC. And you have my personal details at the bottom. Please call me anytime.
Great, thanks, Kim. I appreciate that. And again, it's an amazing offer for ATLC members, and we'll be sending this out as part of an EDM to the whole database as well to encourage them to really take that offer up, because a 50% saving on the complete membership with VCCI is a fantastic deal. It's literally just too good to pass up. So thanks again, Kim. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate the broader sense of what VCCI are doing, especially here in Victoria. We've had it the toughest out of the country, and Paul and the team are doing a great job of being those advocates, as you talked about. So we're really delighted to have you on the show, and we'll always look forward to having you as a regular guest, talking about the latest programs, the latest initiatives, and I'll definitely be tuning in for some of the upcoming webinars and catching up with Eddie on the Canton Fair, and we'll be really promoting this special offer that you put together for us through the membership. So thanks so much, Kim. Always great to see you. Good to see you safe and well, and look forward to catching up sometime soon in person as soon as we can.
Thanks, Lawrence. All the best to you and your members.
You too. Thanks, Kim. Take care. Stay safe. Great. So there you've heard from Kim Wu from the Victorian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, VCCI. As you've heard, there's some amazing support programs right across from HR to workplace, HSE, international trade services, obviously in this space is so important as well. But overall, for $600 to get that complete membership, it's just amazing value for money. So I really encourage you to take that offer up, speak to Kim, and make sure you mention that you're an ATLC member, and they'll look after you. So thanks again for watching this episode. I hope you found it informative and supportive of where your business wants to be globally, domestically, and will help you make sure that you keep succeeding in the future. Thanks again, and we'll stay tuned and watch you. Hopefully, stay tuned and watch us next week. Great. Take care. Bye.
With over 20 years of combined recruitment experience, Bastion is your trusted advisor for sourcing leaders. Technical experts in supply chain recruitment, Bastion uses a proven customer-focused delivery. Speak to a consultant today for your recruitment needs. Bastion, experts in sourcing leaders that deliver change.